Welcome to Scrunchy Time. I'm Nicole Hegstead, your fertility advocate. After 6 years of infertility and 3 miscarriages, I decided that I needed to become the advocate for my own body. If you're exhausted from struggling to get pregnant and want to know more about how I can help, check out my website at www.nicolehegstead.com.
And I'm Bridget May, your children's health expert. My son was born with a heart condition that led to 3 open heart surgeries, cath labs, a tracheostomy, and a ventilator. After being fed up with mixed opinions, I became my children's own advocate. If your child's health is lacking, then check out my website at www.bridgetmay.com to find out more how I can help. Put your hair up and pay attention while we discuss today's hottest topics concerning female hormones and healthy kiddos.
We aren't silky.
We aren't crunchy. We're scrunchy.
Hello and welcome back to Scrunchy Time, our 7th episode. I can't believe we've done 7 episodes. Well, we've done 6. We're about to do 7. I guess we didn't get our chickens until their hats back. Something could go really wrong here in the next few minutes. Who knows? Anyway, welcome back to Scrunchy Time. Today we're going to be talking about stress and our children and how much it affects us. And this is really Bridget's biggest topic. Or at least she's more proficient in it than I am. So I'm going to let her take it away and take it away.
All right. Thank you. So I've been doing a lot of looking into and researching with my kids lately about like just being outside and what we can do and why we need to. And it's just been hugely impacting me and how I view our lifestyles that we have. So like the first thing I want to talk about is how like just our overall lifestyles and how stressed we are. And because that is one of the number one things that earthing helps with when you go outside and just get skin to skin with the ground and all of that, like that's the first thing that's going to start. It's going to lower your blood pressures. It's going to just completely calm and relax your body. And so what do we do in our daily lives, but exactly the opposite. So especially, I mean, even in younger kids and babies, but especially when kids get to being like 3 years old, we are shoving them into pre-kindergarten and they have to get up by a certain time. They have to go to school. They have all these scheduled routines and classes and you know, you have to do this and have to do this. And some schools are getting better about the wiggling situation and allowing them to move around and do a little bit more free play and stuff like that. But a lot of them really focus on like handwriting. Like I know 2-year-olds who have written their name by the time they're 2 and, you know, practicing the alphabet and, you know, counting and XYZ and like forcing them to sit down and do these things. And then that's stressful, right? Like we've all been to school, even in high school and college. It's stressful to be like, okay, learn this now, you know, where you would just naturally learn and absorb it. You'd be like, oh, I learned that. So what, you know? And so we're shoving this on our children at like 3 years old and then going from there into kindergarten at age 5 and forward. And so, and then they get home and then they have all these evening routines and it's like, you got to get your supper 8 because we've got to get to bed because you got to do this because you got to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning again tomorrow and do it all over again. And so then it forces our bodies into lack of sleep, a 3-year-old having lack of sleep. And then we wonder why our children are crabby and grumpy and throwing tantrums and talking back and frustrated and not learning what they're supposed to be learning. And the statistics of children falling behind are rising higher and higher and higher. And that also goes with our standards are being raised because of whatever. But anyway, that's something else for another day. But the statistics, they're falling behind because they have no time to rest, and we need sleep. Sleep is also, it's going to be one of those things, like we have to get that consistent 8 to 10 hours of sleep so that our brains clean and so that our brains clean and refilter everything and recharge and reset, and they're able to function again. It is a necessary part of life. It cannot be skipped. It is not an option to be skipped on a consistent basis. So like that's where I've been like, that's the normal kid's lifestyle. I have a 3-year-old, so that's where they're going from. And when you put it in reverse and what the child should be doing, the way we were designed to live, the way we were created to live, is to be outside. I mean, science tells us that we need to be outside a minimum of 4 to 6 hours a day. And kids aren't even doing that. Kids aren't even getting outside for 3 hours a day. And that there's only 3% of American children get outside for 3 hours a day consistently. I mean, that is just huge. It's huge. That's a huge number if you think about that. And how sad that is, that even, yes, in the wintertime it's hard and we have colder climates and all of that, but there's a good part of America that is very warm and it's very easy to get outside every single day. And 3 hours is nothing. Like, that's just, it can be in chunks here and there. No, it's not happening. And then, but that's what we need to be doing, is getting our kids outside more. We need to be getting them out and doing more education outside, taking stuff outside, letting them be outside and explore and learn for themselves what the world is about. When we present these classrooms where they're forced to sit down and learn, it's again putting the strain and stress on them. But then you send a child outside, they're going to learn on their own. They're going to learn how to balance. They're going to learn to stack sticks. They're going to learn to, if you're sitting there guiding them through this, they're going to count sticks with you. They're going to learn it. And it's going to be on a this is life basis. And they're going to absorb it and retain it so much better than if it's do this now. I don't know if any of you take tests, but I can know everything in the world. And the moment you put that test in front of me, I know nothing. And that's what we're doing to our 3-year-olds every time we stick them in a classroom setting at such a young age. So anyway, so that's a little bit of what I wanted to talk about. The other thing is that kindergarten was actually invented to be a outdoor class, so that we go outside and learn, and it's more of a free play get together really. And we've turned it into this jump start to school, and then we've added kindergarten to that, preschool to that. And it used to be, I remember when I was a kid, preschool it was just like daycare with some activities. Well, no, now it's school all over again. And like I said,
now we have Head Start,
yeah,
which is preschool.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
They have like curriculums and agendas and homework. Yeah. They send their kids home with homework. I didn't even touch on that. But so they're at school for 8 hours a day. And then, here, because you only have 5 hours at home to eat, sleep, and have family time and do this and that, here's some homework too. So then who else is stressed out? Parents are stressed out. And kids know that. Kids know when you're stressed, and they stress because it's life. You're part of their life. So yeah.
I have a friend who's a kindergarten teacher, and I was talking about this with her, and she said that at kindergarten kids are multiplying and dividing now.
Oh my God.
And she said, I don't enforce it. She said, I don't want to get her in trouble. I don't know if people would be able to figure out who she is through me, but she was like, I don't do that because I don't agree with it, and it's wrong. And she's right. Kindergarten multiplication. No, I'm sorry. I didn't even learn that until second or third grade.
Well, and why do they need to know that?
Yeah.
Sorry, why do they need to know that?
Yeah.
Above going outside for 30 minutes and earthing and lowering their blood pressure.
Yeah. They've proven that dyslexia is caused by forcing boys, but kids to read too young, too fast.
Yep. When they're not ready.
Yeah.
I struggled with that actually for a very long time. I did all the way up into my early 20s, honestly. And then finally, when it clicked for me on how to read and spell better on my own, this is just recently, within the last 5 years, I don't have that issue anymore. And what does that say? So I struggled with that for, 25 years before I, then finally can do it easily. So why not hold them off for a few more years until they're ready?
Right.
Again, we push these kids into these lumps and graphs and charts and statistics and everything. And you all have to be doing this or it's wrong, and there's something wrong. And it's like, no, just wait till they're ready. And some kids are more better than others too. Like my son, he does count and do things, he is going to be that way. But then my daughter, no way. She's going to be so old before she does any of that. And that's fine. Like in the end, they will all know it and they will all use whatever their skills are for whatever they need to do in life. We all don't have to know everything. Like that's the other thing, you know, you talked about, you know, bringing up pointless classes and that kind of thing. It's so true. Like it's just completely unnecessary.
I think that's the thing that really frustrated me the most when I was a teenager, because I am one of those rare people that tests really well. Give me a test because I want to see where I'm at. Like I love testing. Yes, it's my favorite. My favorite part of being homeschooled was the annual test that the state would give us.
Oh my gosh,
It was
I
awesome.
cried.
Everybody was super stressed out, and I was like, "This is awesome, you guys! We're getting tested." Anyway, so like that was me though. I always scored in the 90 percentile. I love testing, but a lot of my siblings and friends around me really struggled with a certain subject, be it math or English or even art. And I remember them complaining, I'm obviously not going to go into a math related field. Why do I need to know anything higher than, you know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division? Why do I need to know pre-calculus or pre-trig in order to, quote, graduate from high school? Because I'm not going to be going into this kind of a field. Like, and these are people who didn't want to be doctors. They didn't really even want to go to college. They were fine being a checkout bag person, or one friend in particular was going to be an artist. You know, painting pictures does not require to know pre-trig, you know. And it's just one of those things where we require so much well-roundedness from everyone that is really being detrimental to even our teens, you know, because they're being held back and told that they're stupid when they're not stupid. Their brains just aren't geared for a certain subject. But until you pass that subject, then you're an idiot, you know, and that's fair.
Well, and how much is that stressing them out and taking away from where they could be excelling, you know?
Absolutely.
And pulling all that emotion and everything, you know, if they have to take calculus today and do this, then they have to go do this and they've spent all this energy. They don't have the energy to go do what they want to do because they've spent it all on this, trying to figure out, because it is a struggle for them. It takes twice as much energy. There's your stress levels. And then they have nothing to go and actually be passionate about anything. You know, like it's been totally pulling away from them. And I so agree. I was one of those kids who was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not even going to college. Why the heck do I need to do this? And, you know, that's one of the things we talk about. You talk about life is short. Well, yeah, it is, but it's also very long. Why do you have to know this by the time you're 18 and graduating? You know, why can't you graduate earlier? Go get some life experience, go figure out what you want to do, and come back and learn algebra or calculus or XYZ, you know, because we all do it. I know you and I know I have, especially when you find something else, you have to go back and relearn it. You have to go back and do this because you didn't care in high school. Well, now it applies over here. And so you need to go relearn grammar to write a blog post, or relearn this to do that, or, you know, like it's
Even in my hormones apprenticeship this last summer, when we were talking about this week, like there was certain topics that I already knew I was not going to address with my future clients because it's just not my niche. And I didn't pay attention to the class in those areas. I was like, I'm not going to help women with that. I have other coaches that I'm going to refer them to. And so I'm going to not even pay attention to that part. And it came up because this last week, you know, I had someone who had an issue with that. And I was like, I can't even begin to help you because I did not pay attention to that class. Like, here's a person that did. That was not me. So yeah, like it's true. We when we're learning, we look at stuff and we go, that's not going to apply to what we're doing or my goals. And then if your goals change, you got to go back and redo it all because, and that's human nature. That's totally normal. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I totally agree.
So put that in perspective of like a 3-year-old who is forced to be in this classroom and it has nothing to do with their goals in life. Their goals in life are to run around outside, balance on a log, climb a tree, jump in a mud puddle. That's what they want to do. No wonder they're so fidgety. Like it makes no sense whatsoever that we're forcing them to have our interests in mind. That's we are forcing our agendas on them.
Yes.
For no reason at all. For absolutely no reason at all. It's just, it's insanity is really what it is. It's just complete total chaos.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it is. There's no reason that a 3-year-old should be forced to sit still and learn.
yeah,
Like, no,
yeah,
no, especially for hours a day, you know.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. So yeah, yeah. So,
so how do we fix it, with our kids going forward? How do we make that um, something that we can fix in the next generation instead of like continuing on this perpetual OCD lifestyle where we're those parents that are like standing there with a shotgun, you better get the spelling bee right or else.
so yeah, so I mean, I don't have the perfect answers yet, but what I'm looking into is a type of just natural schooling, forest schooling, wild schooling, where you do teach your kids how to count and their name and all these things, but on a very chill level. When they're ready, you will know, when they're ready to remember, they will remember. When they're ready, you follow your child's leads and signals on these things. And just by getting outside, obviously, like correcting first. I think that's the biggest thing actually, is to correct the crazy lifestyle you're in by just dropping everything, making being outside priority, as much as possible, a minimum of 3 hours a day, obviously weather permitting, all of that, and just let them unwind, let them relax. I know as an adult, it has taken me months to relax and unwind from very stressful situations. And that's what they need. They just need chill. They just need
Absolutely.
to calm down. They need to let their hormones, rebalance. They need to let their mind come back to allowing it to be creative, allowing it to pursue whatever they want to do, and just resetting it all. So that would be my first suggestion, is just take some time and chill, and then go from there. Work with each individual child. Like my son, I might do more with him and let him do things because he enjoys it. He likes to learn. He likes to know things. But my daughter, I'm just going to let her be a wild child as long as she wants to be, and when she's ready to learn, maybe when she's 7 to 10, I'll start enforcing a little bit more structure and different things. And that's not to say you don't teach them to sit still and do things, through church or whatever. Yes, we need to be respectful. We need to learn manners, but look at all those things they're learning. Look at all those things they're learning. They're learning to walk. They're learning to talk. They're learning to, live in society, to be happy, to be sad, to recognize emotions, to know nature, to know when to put a coat on when they're going outside, to know when to not to know when to, all these things. Look at all these things they're learning just about life. We've had almost 30 years of experience in life, and we're expecting to throw that all on our 3-year-old and they need to know it tomorrow. And it's like, no, they're still learning to do these baby things. They're still toddlers. They're learning toddler things. And so just put it into perspective of, what are they struggling with? What is their struggle? Why, when they're throwing a tantrum, what is triggering that? What is stressful about this? And just letting them be the guide, letting them show you how things are going. And I don't mean that in a way where you let your kids be hellions or brats. Like, you are the parent, you take control. But there's definitely a time and a place where we need to step back and get our perfectionist motherhood dreams and aspirations out of the picture and figure out what we need to do for our child. And in our crazy world, that's even worse than it used to be. I compare a lot of our lifestyles. What we need to be is like Laura Ingalls Wilder. She's not going to have the same struggles we're going to have because she didn't have an iPhone, with her 3-year-old. Like that stuff just came naturally for them. And that's the other thing, is as a parent, getting back to parental instinct as well. I feel like that has been beaten out of us so much because we're told by this and this and this, and Dr. Spock said this in his book, and now Dr. So-and-so says this, and it's all of a sudden word, it's all of a sudden the thing. Like, how could it be wrong? How could there be anything else? This is how we're told to raise our children. And no, it's not. As a parent, what your child needs, and you have to get back in tune with that intuition, and nobody else knows what's best for your child except for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. I saw a video recently where a father was talking to his child, and she said she's bored, and he said, you're alive, like you live on planet Earth. There is so much life going on around you. And like went on this whole lecture about like life is around you, and there's birds in the sky, and there's leaves on that tree. And basically at the end he said, you don't have the right to be bored. And I was like, I want to remember that for when I have kids. I want to tell that to my kids. And it hit me through that lecture that I remember being told as a kid, well, if you're bored, I have some chores you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that to my kids because that just makes them like scared to ever say anything. I want to say, well, go count the leaves on that tree, go lay on the grass and watch a ladybug, like go learn about outside. And I wonder how much of this and everything we're talking about is what leads to kids being bored, because we are so overstimulated. And I mean, even with electronics, I don't want to bring up that whole issue.
That's another one. Yeah, that's another topic.
Yeah. But I mean, you throw all this at them, and then you throw electronics in there, and you got kids that are so used to being way overstimulated and way overusing their brain that they do not know how to stop and breathe and just be kids and just be a 3-year-old who just watches bugs fly by. There's nothing wrong with that. And yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna add to that. I mean, have you ever stopped to go 24 hours without your cell phone? Like the mental state you get in, it's like a drug. It really is. And it is, because we know it is. It releases dopamine, all these things as we get notifications and do things. We know it is a drug, but like it is hard. You have to detox from that. And I view that as same as our society, coming off of our society and coming into a place of calm and quiet is the same way. It is, we're always stimulated, always, everywhere. You go to Walmart, it's crazy town out there, let me tell you. And then you to come home and just sit, it's of course. Yeah, and to watch. Yeah, exactly. And so
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
This morning, I was just going to say this morning, I rolled over in bed and I looked at the wall, and you know how in the morning there will be splotches of sun on your wall from coming in? And I was like, sun, like, I kid you not, this is like what, because I'm waking up too. So it's like one-worded sentences. I was like, sun, this reminds me of being a kid. And then I was like, when was the last time I laid in bed and just watched the sun on my walls? Right. And it just hit me that like, that's something I used to do as a kid. When I'd wake up, I'd roll over and just watch the sun. Like, the sun isn't even moving. It's just on your wall. And I would just sit there and watch the sun and, like, just think about stuff, And it just hit me that like, I haven't done that in years. And, like, how often do we just roll over and grab our phone and we're on Facebook comparing our morning to everybody else's morning, and there we go, But no, like, anyway, I just wanted to throw
that's just it. And there again, there's a whole nother century our kids are missing out on. We think, and so that's what I was gonna say is like they get all this other stimulation when right here is all the stimulation they need. Like so they're taking in all this stuff. As a child, they're seeing the sun dancing on the wall, but yet the TV's on over here being crazy. There's just compounding. This is compounding effect. This is still new to them. The sunshine on the wall is still new to them. And yet we're throwing all this other stuff at them saying, oh, this is better, this is better, this is better.
Yeah.
And it's not.
I remember somebody telling me once that when you have a baby, you're not supposed to just smile at them because they're learning facial expressions through you. And so you have to be angry and sad. And I was just looking at her and I was thinking, great in theory. I love that idea. But do you think the kid won't figure it out by the time he's 5 that this is angry? Because if he doesn't, like, there's probably some other issues that we need to look into. Like, I figured it out, and my parents only smiled at me as a baby, because they didn't know about all this psychology stuff. Right. It was the 90s. Like, I always say that. It was the 90s. Of course they did that to me. So, like, how much do we really need? Like, that's the other thing. We've put so much on parents to be like colors and numbers and always asking questions and learning, and like, even adults don't think as much as we're trying to ask our 2-year-old to respond to. So can you imagine what that's doing to the parents to like come up with this stuff and ask repeatedly,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, what's wrong with our kids being bored? Like, once you get past that detox of screens and overstimulation and all of that, right after boredom lies creativity. You have to be bored in order to think of something new. Because if you're not bored, you're stimulated. And so you're not going to be using your brain to actually think of something worth thinking about. You're not going to be
Absolutely.
creative. You're not going to learn to draw. You're not going to learn to have the next invention. You're not going to learn how to do XYZ. You're not going to figure out how to get whatever you know, I'll use my 3-year-old, for example, his 150 car toys across the room in one trip, unless he's bored.
Yeah.
That's the only way that's going to happen, is for him to actually stop and be able to think about it.
Yes. Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
So yeah, so that kind of sidetracks completely from stress entirely, but you can also see through that, like, how much our bodies are stressed out because they're not getting what they need. They're not developing the way they should. And it's just a compounding effect of everything. It just really is. So many things are contributing to our stress. We're
Yes.
not letting kids get out their pent up energy. We're not, letting them explore other areas in life, and then we're forcing them to do what we think is best for them.
And it's leading to stressed out adults,
Yep.
because adults can't look back on their own life and realize, hey, there was a time when I was actually happy. Like, it's always been go, go, go since
Exactly.
day one. And it literally, like, I have another friend. I guess she's more of an acquaintance.
You have
She's
a
an
lot of
older.
friends. No.
Well,
I said you have a lot of friends.
she's more of an acquaintance. Anyway, she was showing a picture of her baby and was telling me how early her teeth came in, and like so proud of her baby. And I was like, cool, that's not really anything that you or your child has control over. Like, I mean, no offense to people who are proud of that, but like, we're so into the my child is progressing so much faster than
Yeah.
your child mentality, that we're bragging about things that nobody has control over. It really
It's
just kind of
so
happens on it.
true. Well, it's so true. So my 1-year-old is learning to walk, and like, I feel like it's fairly early because my other two didn't walk till they were almost 2 and 18 months. So I have like a 9-month-old trying to walk, and now she's 11 months old, and she's pretty much there. If she's not walking by her birthday, I'll be surprised. But like, other people are like, oh, my baby's 13 months and they're not walking. And I'm like, cool. Your
Yeah.
China's that much safer. Yeah, we put so much stress on your child has to do this and your child has to do that, and they have to be doing this and they have to be doing that, and potty training. Like, I remember Fritz, because that's just him. He's just, just very intuitive and has control over his own life, apparently. And he was potty trained by the time he was like 2.5, like, just perfect, boom, done. And I just remember all the other moms, like, I could feel the guilt coming from them. He's potty trained,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I had no control over this. He just did it, and then I have my daughter, who was potty trained, broke her leg, and now she probably won't potty train until she's 5. Just not, I mean, that's just the truth. So, so I have that, but like, I always say, like, they're not going to go to college not potty trained. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Unless that you, as I get back into your intuition, you can tell, hey, they should be potty trained. They get this. And you realize there's something physically going wrong, because I do know children who have had that, if for a reason why they can't be potty trained, or, whatever. That's different. But so what?
Yeah.
So what? So what? My 3-year-old can count to 20 and the other one can only count to 5.
Right.
It
Yes.
doesn't matter.
How much are kids picking up on that too? The
Yes,
parents,
exactly.
and then the child feels whatever that is, the disappointment or whatever, that
Oh yeah,
could be.
they can feel that when you're in a conversation with another mom. Well, he won't do this and he won't do that. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Focus on what they can do, because more than likely your kid is doing way more in another area than mine is. My kids excel in fine motors and gross motors. No. Except for Cinnamon. Now she is like my gross motor off the chart, and like, every kid has, again, their own special thing that they excel at, and they do. And we cannot force them to go into their 2-year-old pediatrician appointment and you fill out the 4-page piece of paper where you're comparing them to every other child. There is no chart for this. There's no chart. As a mom, you will know, hey, he should be doing this. There looks like there must be something wrong with his legs physically for a reason why he's not walking it.
Yeah.
You know, you will know instinctively as a parent.
Yeah.
You know, what's going on.
Absolutely.
What's holding them back.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, I think we should probably wrap this one up.
Yes. So if you struggle with that or have questions or anecdotal stories or want to add comments to anything we said, feel free to reach out to either of us. We're always glad to hear from our listeners. And other than that, we will see you back in a couple of weeks on the next episode.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on today's podcast.
If you'd like to know more about our programs or watch the podcast in video form, you can visit our websites,
where we also share links and resources concerning the different topics that we have discussed.
Check me out at www.nicolehegstead.com.
And check me out at www.bridgetmay.com. See you next time.